everyone. Welcome to All About the Joy. Welcome, Alma, Mario. I'm sorry, I'm giggling. And Rick. How you guys doing tonight?
Good to see you.
So I sent you guys the thing I wanted to talk about. I really want to talk about art and get your ideas on art, but we're doing the jump off because of the Kendrick Lamar halftime show at the Super Bowl. I know there's been a lot of analysis over it, so I don't know if we need to dive deep back into all that, but there's a lot of symbolism, a lot of haters out there, a lot of people who didn't get it. Wanted to get your initial feelings on it first. And maybe I'd start with Mario, then we'll go to Rick and then to Alma.
Well, they not like us. So that's my first
Boom. And
comment.
thank you for joining the show. We appreciate you. Hope to see you next week.
Have a good week.
Go ahead.
No, to me, I got it. I enjoyed it. I know the word, I know the songs, so it was easy for me. It was very cool. It actually opened up a conversation for my mother, who is, an older woman who does not like rap. So her and her friends, they checked out. She's like, I don't want to hear that. She's like, all I hear was la 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 la. She's like, I didn't understand anything. I said, okay, Mom, let me break it down to you. So we had a very in-depth conversation about some of the stuff that was happening. And she said, you know what, Mario, thank you for explaining it to me. She said, because it gave her the opportunity to go back and talk to her friends who were just opposed to the rap of it all and not into the show. But then once I explained it, she loved it. She went back and watched it. She appreciated it for what it was. And she took the time to really listen, and she got it. And it opened up her eyes to a lot of subtext that was in the show. And I thought it was an amazing show without saying too much.
Rick, your thoughts?
Yeah, I turned on Tubi when I figured it was going to be on, and it was funny because all of a sudden I got a text from Melanie. It's on now. I didn't ask her to, but she.
We love Melanie. Shout out to Melanie.
And yeah, I watched it, and was I 100% focused? I ain't gonna lie, because I was like, like I wasn't, but I was definitely didn't think it was boring at all. It was entertaining. All the different dancing and everything. I don't really know the songs that much, like little bits and pieces here, like that kind of sounds familiar. Like far, like that part. I remember I heard that before.
That's from Luther. Yeah.
Luther song, yeah.
But yeah, it was entertaining. But because I wasn't fully paying attention to it, I didn't realize we were supposed to get educated too. Like that there was but Samuel L. Jackson, I was like, okay, that's what made me think, okay, this is not just a performance, because wait, he's saying something. So that's what made me think, okay, you're not just yay, nice job. No, they're saying something. So yeah, it was, but it was entertaining too. It was fun. It wasn't boring. I've seen some that were like, oh, but this one was entertaining. It was good.
Okay. Go ahead, girl. I know it's bubbling inside. Go ahead.
I enjoyed every aspect of it. I enjoyed the art of it, the music, the symbolism, going and rewatching and catching the stuff that I didn't catch the first time. The first run around, just seeing all of the sensationalist part of it, but then going back and actually catching all of the little nuances. And it was awesome. It was really he's a genius. Honestly, he really is, just in the ways that he layered it. If you want it just surface, you could just have the surface. But if you want to go deeper, there's a lot of layers to it. So it was awesome.
That's why he's a Pulitzer Prize winner?
Oh, yeah. He won a Pulitzer.
Yeah, for sure.
I think that's where I got upset with so many people. I lashed out a little bit. I think this is the first time I have seen on a public stage white people not being centered. And what I mean by that, because I know that's a really weird concept to understand, it's like they were not the focus at all. And I think that's what disturbed people. I can't explain enough how many times in my life, in all of our lives, I'm sure, we have walked into a room. I can talk about when I was dancing, performing, but let me go to even college. Walking into a biology class of 300 people my freshman year, and there is not one other person of color, you know? And always being that person that walks into a place where you are the odd person out. And it
Hmm.
was interesting how I'm just speaking for me. I mean, I was kidding with a friend of mine the other day. I'm like, I'm speaking for all black people, but I'm just speaking for me.
Oh Lord.
It was interesting how my entire life I have had to acquiesce to the circumstance I was in and have to find my way in it,
Mhm.
appreciate it, or keep my mouth shut, or try to understand it, or research it later. You do all these things as a person of color, trying to understand the circumstance you're in. But what happened here is people just started lashing out in a really negative, nasty way that it's not art, that it should never be on football halftime, all these horrible things, and it just incensed me. And I started thinking about how do we determine what art is? I guess that's my big question for all of you. Like, how do you determine, or do you ever determine what art is and is not? Is maybe the first question.
I think art is thought provoking. Anything that's going to create a thought or make you go deeper into yourself about what you're feeling, if it evokes an emotion or a visceral response, it's art. Or if you have questions, you can say, "What does that mean?" It's art because it provokes conversation and it gives you more insight into. And sometimes the artist is very upfront about what they're saying, but then other artists let you conceptualize it for what you want it to be. And art,
Do
like they
you
say,
all
art
agree
is.
that this was art? Do we? I don't know, Rick. I'm not
I
trying to be rude,
do
but I'm wondering, Rick,
I agree
did
that
you
it was.
feel that this was a piece of art?
absolutely, absolutely, from the symbolism to the American flag with all black people, based on the fact that he's saying that a lot America was built on the slaves on the backs of black people on the backs of slaves. Now, a lot of people don't like that statement and they don't like that comment.
Okay, wait,
That's
but that's not a statement or a comment. That's a
it's a
fact.
fact.
So,
It is a
like,
fact.
you
Mhm.
may
But the
not
thing
like
is,
the truth, but
it's the truth. But the thing is, everyone wants to be mad, stay mad. That's okay.
can I just get I just want to, and Rick, I'm sorry to put you on the spot, but I don't know. And I don't want to just assume. Do
Unfortunately.
you feel this was art?
Yeah, to me, music is art. Dancing is art.
Even
And
if it
art
doesn't speak to you specifically?
well, doesn't matter. But to me, art is if you could look at whatever it is and have multiple interpretations, that's probably art.
Okay. I just didn't want to assume that he felt the same way. Okay. I'm sorry.
That's a lot of work. Oh, that's a lot of work. A lot of people, a
Mm.
lot of organization, choreography. Yeah, to put that together and even the camera work, everything. So
I
that's
mean,
all
I
art.
think even like what Alma was saying was just I don't want to put words in Alma's mouth or whatever, but I feel like there's this part of him you can watch just the surface part. And people were saying, like, I don't understand. I don't understand. You know what? Google is free.
Mhm.
And if you don't understand rap, it's because you're not used to the rhythm of that sound. It's interesting how these same people can understand Eminem or they can understand Macklemore, but for some reason they can't understand Kendrick Lamar. You know what I'm saying? I'm not.
Mhm.
I am throwing the race card in there. It's like, why are
Right.
you able to defend and fight about Eminem, but you can't understand Kendrick Lamar? You need to think about that. You know what I mean? And it's for me, art is that. There are pieces of art that I think suck horribly. But you know what?
Mhm.
I keep that inside. I just
Yeah.
keep my
Yes,
mouth shut.
Yes.
yes.
But it's like there's a sweatshirt that Mario has and it says, "I'm not for everyone."
Hmm.
Every piece of art is not for everyone in it, but even if it evokes anger or it evokes sadness, whatever it evokes, it still made you feel something. Whether
Mhm.
you like the way that it made you feel or not, whether you like whatever the art is portraying or what it's saying, that's the point. It's not for, every artist. every genre is not for everyone,
That's
but
fact.
art still exists. It's just like y'all were saying, it's thought provoking. It's meant to evoke feelings, whether it's something visual, something auditory, or something that you're reading. Some 5 words on the page can evoke feelings.
That's right.
You know,
I had
so
a little back and forth with Chris. We all love Chris, and he I was mad because he started writing on Facebook, "Prince is the best Super Bowl, Prince," and I was like, You missing the point. This is not a
Right.
comparison between Prince
no.
and Mr. Lamar, and if look at I just wanna be very clear about something. I am now a huge Kendrick Lamar fan, but I
Welcome to the family.
no, but this is what I'm saying. Like I liked him. I listened to him. I knew a few songs. I did not know the whole Drake part until recently. Like during the Kamala Harris rallies is when I started understanding more about the Drake thing because there was that young white boy. I hate to say it that way, but there was that young man who was white who worked for the Kamala Harris campaign, and they featured him. Do you remember that? Because he was singing
Yeah.
every word of "Not Like Us."
Yes.
I was like, "Who is this man?" You know what I mean? And he did all these interviews, and I was like, "What is this Drake stuff?" And that's when I started getting more into. Oh, I didn't know. I had no idea. So I'm not trying to come across like you have to be some mega fan of Kendrick Lamar to
Mhm.
understand.
No.
But you need to be like, if anything, I want white people, and I'm gonna say it this way. I know I'm gonna get a lot of backlash for this. White people need to start being a little bit more open-minded that everything, like Alma said, is not for them. You know what I mean? And by the way, the halftime show, I saw this comment everywhere. Oh my God, I don't know if you guys saw this. Comments everywhere. The halftime show is for everyone. It should be something we all understand. Really? Because 54% of the NFL is black. So I'm confused when you think this is
Mhm.
for you.
Well, that's a different conversation.
That's a whole different conversation,
That's
but
a whole different conversation. But yeah, I think since Rock Nation has taken over, I think it versus Pepsi or the other
I don't know
major
what Rock
sponsors.
Nation is,
Rock
so
Nation is the company owned by Jay-Z. So he's the actual official promoter for the NFL. He's been the promoter
oh,
for
I had
the
no idea.
yeah, he's been the official promoter. He and Jesse Collins have picked the halftime shows for the last 5 years now.
Mhm.
So, although the last five halftime shows have been through Rock Nation, which is not only for his production, it's a production company, it's a record company, it's a fashion label. Rock,
Right. That's so interesting.
One thing though,
Oh, go ahead,
saw
Rick.
people saying, "Can there be subtitles?" And I was like, baffled. Why do you need subtitles? Because I don't understand a word they're saying. I'm like, I understand everything he's saying. What's the problem?
it's
But
called
you know
closed
what?
caption.
You
The
could do
TV
closed
works.
caption. You could go again. I said this on TikTok. I remember going to my first ballet with Rudolph Nureyev, and it was Don Quixote. I did not understand a mother effing thing, not one thing, but I was forced to go. I'm glad I went because what it did, even though I left and it didn't make me like, oh my God, I love ballet and Rudolph Nureyev. That's not what happened. But what did happen was it made me realize there's a bigger world out there than only the stuff I know.
Yes,
And it made me absorb the idea of art and going to museums and going
yes,
to the orchestra. Orchestra. I'm having a tough time today speaking,
that's
but
okay.
But I want to say, like,
yeah.
even though we're concentrating just on the halftime, the pre-show and all of that was really very well rounded. Harry Connick Jr. and Lady Gaga and just all of the different pre-shows that were on as well were really well rounded in my
But when you
opinion.
say well-rounded, what are we talking about
I
race?
mean, like I said, like Harry Connick Jr. was one of the artists that was up there.
Right, and
Who was the other one?
he's from there. I mean,
Yeah, but he's
he's
Yeah,
from
very
that's
there.
what I'm
not to
saying.
have
Right.
So
it from.
but they were, but what I'm saying is it wasn't just only black artists
You know
from
what?
New Orleans being
But
featured.
here's why I'm gonna push back though. Why would it matter, right? If we're
It
really the
shouldn't
world,
matter, but
right? Because how
they gave
many
him a
times has
bone
it been all
still.
white? Every artist is white and every art, you know what I mean? Like that's what I am so tired as a woman of color making it comfortable for white people to feel comfortable for You know what I'm saying? Like, I know what you're saying. It was well-rounded, but it's never been well-rounded all the time for the rest of our
Oh,
lives.
no, never. Of course not.
Never. And it's
Of
I don't wanna appease it.
of
I do
course not.
wanna switch it a little bit, but it's the same thing because I was talking about Marvel movies because it's this idea of what is art, and I just wanna mention a couple things. So back in 2019, and it was when the movie Captain Marvel came out, Martin Scorsese and Francis Ford Coppola, who, if people are listening, don't know who they are, I would be shocked, but huge film directors. Martin
Yeah.
Scorsese is known for like Goodfellas and The Irishman and what else? I don't even know.
A lot of Leo DiCaprio movies.
And Francis Ford Coppola, of course, The Godfather, Apocalypse?
Coppola.
No,
Francis Ford Coppola.
Apocalypse Now. Francis
Apocalypse Now.
Ford
Yeah.
Coppola, Apocalypse Now. Is that how you say it?
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah. I don't know. I'm having issues. Okay. I swear to God, there's water in here. I swear to God. So back in 2019, Martin Scorsese said about Marvel movies, and this pissed me off because, again, it's what is the definition of art? He said, I don't see them. I tried, but that's not cinema. Honestly, the closest I can think of them, as well made as they are, with actors doing the best they can under the circumstances, is theme
Wow.
parks. It isn't the cinema of human beings trying to convey emotional, psychological experiences to another human being. Fuck you, Martin Scorsese. Let me quote Francis Ford Coppola. I lost so much respect for these two men. Now I'm going to quote Francis Ford Coppola. So Francis Ford Coppola said, well, because of the lack of risk in the production, Martin Scorsese says that the Marvel picture is not cinema. He's right, because we expect to learn something from cinema. We expect to gain some enlightenment, some knowledge, some inspirations. Arguably, I don't know that anyone gets anything out of seeing the same movie over and over again, which is Marvel movies. A thing that has no risk to it. I've said before, making a film without risk is like making a baby without sex. That was Francis Ford Coppola, film director of The Godfather and Apocalypse Now, like in other movies, but just throwing that out there to you guys.
I think that it just shows their age. And I think that they're just maybe, I don't want to say they're not visionaries because that's not true. They are
They were in their
visionaries.
time.
But exactly. But I think that they're not able to see the value in the Marvel movies. Not because there isn't any, but just because they're not able to. And I'm going to attribute it to their generation, to their age, where their generation is like every film, everything had to have a message because of the times, because of the times that they were coming up and that they were
I'm gonna push
adulting
back.
in.
I think Marvel movies all have a message.
Oh
I
I
no,
do
yes,
agree with
they
you,
do.
but they all have a message. I can see where you're going with this to try to give them a pass. But here's the thing that we may not remember, because I did research on this. That's why I'm so angry with them. When they came out with their movies, both of them, they got so much flack for the mafia-esque, the violence, the whatever. So again, you would think they would be more sensitive, more understanding of what art is, even if they don't understand it or like it.
I think they're telling their stories from their point of view. You have to remember, Scorsese he's a New Yorker. Like the mob, the mafia. That's all a part of his time of when that was very prevalent. That was his focus. That's what he enjoyed studying. That's what he enjoyed writing. That's all great. But you have a new era of artists, of young directors and storytellers who want to tell different stories. I think comic books are still stories. Marvel it's still storytelling.
Oh, I agree. Mhm.
So the thing is, I respectfully have several seats and do you over there and take your time and produce what it is that you love, and you will have your audience will come to you. But everyone has a space out here for what they love. And you can't tell me that even it's the storytelling of the battles even with Black Panther and the
Oh,
subtext that was going on through all of that film. That was artistry, not just visually, but historically and
incredible.
It was thought provoking. You asked questions, and it took you back to history. It was all great. So yeah, everything has a story. Marvel definitely has a place in art,
Mhm.
completely, not just visually, storytelling.
Go
I got
ahead,
an
Rick.
issue
Rick is
with
itching. Go ahead.
Francis Ford Coppola, right? That was the second one. He said
Hmm.
something like, "You didn't learn nothing." I'm like, listen,
Wow.
when I watched Deadpool and Wolverine, I didn't learn nothing neither, but I laughed my butt off the whole film.
Right.
Entertained, I enjoyed it. I would watch it again. I don't have to learn something. That's your opinion. And you
Yes.
Yeah.
can't tell me that I shouldn't like something because you don't like it. That's ridiculous.
Mhm.
It's the whole thing I
Mhm.
said a long time ago when somebody said, God don't like this kind of music. No, you don't like that kind of music. You don't speak for God.
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
That's it.
I
Mhm.
think it's interesting because I think Marvel movies, I've said this a million times, I have not felt the feeling I felt when I watched Endgame. I hadn't felt that in a theater when you're with people, that camaraderie, that like that part where Robert Downey Jr.'s character just I am Iron Man, like in it, and because of the movies from before the first movie, when he ends it, because you have followed the trajectory of it.
Yeah.
And it breaks your heart because he's gonna die, and he dies.
Mhm.
And I
Spoiler alert for those who haven't watched it.
oh yeah, right.
I literally just saw somebody today that they did like a reaction video, and this girl had never watched it,
Oh god,
and she was like,
buddy.
he was telling the story like she cried several times, but then right before Iron Man dies, she started yelling, "Wait, he ain't gonna die, is he?" Right again.
He dies. He dies. Sorry, spoiler alert. I look at this point, if you haven't seen it, I can't help you. It's
Yeah,
an old movie now, but that's my point. Is like again, it's this weird. I don't know if it's elitism because I don't know if it's that, but I don't know how you don't learn from your own experience, and that's what angers me about these two men. They had such a hard time when they started their careers doing the movies that they loved that were so violent, so painful, you know what I mean? That people were like, "Oh my god, no," like,
Yeah.
and people were dismissing it or whatever. And then, it's kind of that thing too. Like, I didn't get mad at Chris. I love Chris. He wants to be on the show again, and Chris Gales, I'm talking about.
Yeah. Hmm.
I think he's an amazing person, and I love him and everything. But it's the same thing. Everybody elevates Prince now because he's dead, but we forget that people didn't like Prince. People talked about Prince. They were like, he's gay, he's androgynous, he's too female, he's so weird. Like, people did not, I don't care how much you thought he was a genius. It's weird how we revise our thought process when someone passes away. You know what I
Mhm.
mean? Like,
Well, some of us.
no, so you know what? I apologize. You're
Some of us.
absolutely right. You're absolutely right. Because I was in
Okay.
love with that man. I don't know what it was. He's a
I've been rocking with him since 1978,
right.
79.
He
So
is the only man that was like what 5'4". I think he was 5'4",
yeah.
and he attracted both men and women. And we don't understand why. We don't. I don't understand why I was so attracted to that beautiful man.
I remember my pastor saying, because again, he's a pastor, so he's done a lot of funerals. He goes, "It never ceases to amaze me how all of a sudden, no matter how down dirty dog you are, everybody when they die is a good person."
Yeah.
Well, I mean,
Well,
let me just say this though, just to back that up though. Prince was a genius from day one.
Mhm.
And
yes.
for his fan base that knew that, even some of us who are clouded by our love. But his music, I think the thing I remember about Prince's music so much was that I remember dancing in the clubs, and I was underage, but I was in the clubs dancing on stages, and that music was funky, grinding, awesome, great. And I remember I was like, "Oh, I'm doing something so bad." You know what I mean? Like, not compared to the other people who are out there doing drugs. I was just dancing. You know what I mean?
Right.
But that's what I remember of my Prince life back in the day.
I remember dancing to Erotic City when I didn't know what I was dancing to. Come on now.
Me neither.
And
Mhm,
then so my mother was like, "Do you know what he's saying?"
mhm. And my whole
Singing
creamy
along to
thighs
Prince.
and
Oh
everything,
yeah.
my creamy
No,
thighs.
I was grown. I was singing along to Cream. I knew what I was singing then.
Wow.
Yeah, I didn't know what I was, but I
I knew
enjoyed
what I
it.
was saying.
No, I knew what I was singing when I sang Cream.
This little Latina girl did not know what she was singing. She just knew it sounded good.
It
That's
sounded
it.
good.
Well, it's just
But
like now with churches. having the nerve to sing Like a Prayer from Madonna. I'm like, do you
Oh,
not
yeah.
Oh no,
know?
do you even know
No.
what you're singing? Come
I
on
don't
now.
even
What are you
that's
grown
crazy.
people? They ain't kids. Like, really?
I don't know how they're justifying that, but they've ran with it,
Let's
right?
use the Googler, please.
Googler.
Mhm.
I like that. Is
She's
that what
quoting
it's
my
called?
mother because that's what my mother says, the
The
Googler.
Googler. I'm gonna use that. I love that. Oh my
I'm
god.
gonna use the
That was on
Googler.
There's a funny video
Um,
with an Italian lady. They're trying to teach her to say, "Hey Google," and she's like, "Okay, try it. Google, Google, Hey,
Google.
Google."
Google.
the thing is you have to say the "hey" first, right?
Right.
Mhm.
Mhm.
So funny.
Ay, ay, ay.
Can you think of an example where art well, and this might be too much. I don't know. This is a goofy question, but I was just wondering, I if you can think of a time when art turns into a political message or a purpose. Of course, I think the Kendrick Lamar thing is a great example of how
Mhm.
it's
Hmm.
a social message, but I was wondering, I couldn't think of other pieces of art that do that, but there must be so many of them. I mean, Martin Luther King's speech became that, right? That
Right.
beautiful "I have a dream" speech, but I couldn't remember other
You
people
know,
doing
one that comes to the top, to the front,
Rhythm
to my
Nation, Janet Jackson.
yes,
Go ahead, I'm sorry.
yes. Just on a political side, I'm thinking about Obama's campaign when they created the posters, the tricolor posters that said hope. Those
Mhm.
are beautiful pieces of art, right?
Yes.
And so, but it was also a political statement. He was that those three colors, that red, white, and blue. I still see it vividly in my head. I'm looking at the visual posters. You saw him everywhere. He had hope, and that was the main one, right?
Yeah,
But
that
I
was
think,
the main one. That was the main one, yeah.
Mhm.
yeah,
Mhm. Mhm.
that's one that definitely comes to my brain right away. And what's the other man with the Latino man? He has the star. He's everywhere.
Che Guevara.
Yeah, check
Oh,
it out.
yes, of course. Oh, that's great, of course, you're right. What was I
Yes,
thinking? You know what? I was going down the whole rabbit hole of trying to think of musicians, right?
I have a music one. Was it Nina Simone, Strange Fruit?
strange fruit.
Oh, Nina
Yeah.
Simone. Let's
And if
take
you don't know about strange fruit, use the Googler.
I
It's
love
heavy.
Yeah. And
but
then
Nina
Maya
Simone,
Angelou, a lot of her
Still
poetry
I
as well.
Rise, Phenomenal Woman. Still I Rise is a
Yes.
good one. Who the
Yes.
Rick, you
Yes.
got any to share?
Mhm. Um,
I know from the religious point of view, it would probably be more religious-y as opposed to politically.
the only thing I could think of is not a nice one. I don't want to say it.
No,
Okay.
say it. What are you gonna say?
The redhead woman comedian that didn't she do like a
Kathy.
Oh,
Kathy
yeah,
Kathy
Griffin.
Griffin, right? She cut off the head of something and said it was
Yeah.
and I
somebody.
was like,
Yeah, I
that's
know, yeah. Well,
Yeah,
that's
that's
when
crazy.
art goes wrong. I mean, okay, so that's interesting because for some people, they thought that was justified and made sense. That's a great point. A lot of us, again, I'm just speaking for myself, but I thought that was a little crass for me and inappropriate. And so, even though I respect her viewpoint and I thought it was wrong for her to lose, she lost her CNN. She'd lost a lot of work.
Everything.
She
She
lost
lost
a lot of
everything.
stuff because she was doing like the CNN New Year's Eve thing. That's when I remember her most with Anderson Cooper or something. But
She had a
because
reality show also.
oh, she did.
Yeah, it was called The D List. Yeah, it was on ETV. It was
What's
on
the D list?
that was the name of her show because
Oh, that's
she called herself a D-list artist, of a entertainer.
oh
You
my
know how
god, that's
they
hilarious.
yeah. So she called
It
it.
was funny.
It was
It was
really
It
funny.
funny.
was
She
great.
had her mom on there too. It was funny.
Yeah,
It
But
really
she lost
was.
it, right? She
She
lost
she
it.
lost
lost
it
all of
all.
that. Yeah.
But then
And
she also suffered cancer at the same time and
oh, that's not cool.
lost her voice, and her voice is not the same. But
But
that
she's
goes
doing
into
okay now, though, right? I've
she's
seen her
better
a
now,
little bit better.
yes. But that goes into comedy. Some comedians are artists.
Oh,
If you
absolutely.
think
yeah.
about it, we're talking about Kathy Griffin she's a comedian, but she's also using art that went too far for some people. But then if you look at Eddie Murphy, who is a genius, his 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 acting, his stand up is just bar none. You
Yeah.
know,
Mhm.
it still holds up. Delirious still holds up.
Yes, it
That's
does.
art because if it's something that still stands the test of time and you can still go back to it and reference it, it's art.
I would say comedians are art. I have never
Yes.
thought of it that way, Mario, but when you just said that, comedians take a big risk because they go up there and
Mhm.
they'll talk about religion, politics,
Everything.
and they're
Yes.
trying to make you laugh, but they're making that undercut statement.
Mhm.
Yes.
I never thought about it that way, but I would absolutely say that's art. I agree with
Yes.
you. Wow, I
It's
never
an
thought
art form
about it. Mhm,
because everybody can't do it. Everyone can't paint. Everyone can't sing. So
mhm.
it's definitely an art form.
Absolutely. I feel bad about Kathy Griffin. I mean, I'll be honest with you, I never really liked her myself. Like, she's not my kind of flavor. And what I mean by that is, I don't like kind of the slappy, sticky type of, like the I respect Jim Carrey, but I don't want to watch him. You know what I mean? I don't want to watch that kind of thing. Like Steve Martin, I respect him. I don't want to watch that kind of, does that make sense? Like, whatever.
Well, back
I
in the
like
day,
my
he
comedy
Doses.
a little
You can
different.
take it in doses.
Yeah, like I was trying to think, oh, there's this new guy. I forget his name. He's so good. He's a young black man. Oh my God, I don't know what his name, but he's so good. But I like
is he
people
Aaron
like,
Pierre?
what?
Is he Aaron Pierre?
No, I don't think so. What?
I'm just messing with
Why
Now
are
you
you
gotta
messing
use
with
the
that
Googler.
beautiful man? We
Use the
love him. That's
Googler.
the actor, the Googler.
Google.
Okay, I can find out who this guy is because I follow him now on YouTube. I'm talking about like I like Chris Rock. Chris Rock to me is hysterically funny. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? I'm trying to think of if you listen to old school Richard Pryor, funny as all
Yes.
hell. You know, like George
Yeah.
Carlin, I could, and I know people get upset when I say this about George Carlin. Some of the stuff he says, I think he's wrong. I just think he's
Yeah.
Mhm.
wrong, but people, no matter again, I'm gonna get backlash for so many things on this episode, but I'm not a
That's
big
okay.
George Carlin fan. I don't think he's right all the time.
But it's thought provoking, and that's the whole point.
Yes.
Sensationalist, it's thought
Mhm.
provoking. And then you touched on the religion thing. To me, for the religion part of it, some preachers are artists. The way that they're able to deliver
Oh,
the word, the way that they're able to make you think about God's word
is
and
there
make
one I would
you
know?
be insightful. It can be anyone. You can go to any church. I really am very universal as to who I listen to. If they have a good word to preach and I'm learning from them and they're making me want to go to my Bible and read it, that to me is someone who, you know, I love that because I'm always
Is it
seeking
the
to learn.
oratory skills? Is it
Yes.
the
The
oratory
rise
skills?
and the fall.
It's
Yes.
the
Yes,
ability to
and
bring
then and all of that also is the music. The worship part for me, the music, that is a very big component for me. I
Mhm.
can go somewhere and they have great worship. That takes me to a place where I feel like I'm closer to heaven. I'll say it that way. So even that, even in the lyrics, in the of the music, and it
You know
doesn't
what?
have to be necessarily gospel, but
No,
just
I
Christian.
appreciate you saying this because it's so funny because I was like, "Oh," but here's what I'll say. I know that whenever I listen to Jesus Loves Me, when Whitney Houston's singing it or Sissy Houston or whatever, I am like, or if I'm listening to anything from Sister Act 2, like, I'm sorry, I'm being very ghetto, but I'm like, but you, I'm sorry. For the people who are not religious, I think this is fair. But I think you're right because you're listening to music that moves you,
Yes,
you
Yes.
know, and it
yes.
takes you somewhere and it makes you, and I have always said this, I am jealous of people, especially the women who go to church on Sunday and they all dressed up and and the belief and the love and the commitment. And I think you're right. There's an art to that. There is an art
Yes,
to it.
yes.
Yeah.
But I'm also of the belief that church isn't just the four walls. So you don't have to be in a church to practice the kindness and to practice the love that God tells us to practice with everyone. It's just in you, how you wish to express yourself and your love and your faith with others. But like I said, yeah, there's definitely an art form in that, in practicing.
Okay, I'm gonna throw this out at you and Rick. Mario, you too, but is it
Hey,
okay that well,
welcome to
no,
the
no,
party.
because I think I already know what you're gonna say. That's why. I'm
Oh,
sorry.
okay.
I think I know. I could be wrong, but so is it okay that there are atheists and agnostics in your world or in this world that you can appreciate if they might see what you think about art, but may not consider that art or something they believe in?
I'm always of the thought that I'm never going to force my beliefs or my thoughts on anyone else. I can only lead by example or show you by how I live my life and how I treat others or how because it's examine me, examine my life. And if you can take something from that, then that's I feel like that's what my faith calls me to do. I have to lead a life that can be exemplary or where someone can find some light in
So you're
in
okay though, you embrace agnostics and atheists
I love them too. God
and
says love everyone.
mhm.
God says to love everyone and pray for everyone. Whether they believe in the prayer that I'm believing, it doesn't matter. I believe in the prayer that I'm saying for you, for your safety, for your health, for your deliverance. I believe
So
in the
how do
prayer.
you deal with and Rick, I want you to chime in too. Mario, you can chime in too. I'm sorry. But this is fascinating that we've gone this I was not this is people, this is not on the list. It's not
And
on
I'm
the
going to tell you, even prayer can be an art form. Some people can pray and you feel nothing. It's a flat line.
No,
Other
no,
people
no, no.
can pray and they move you.
Right,
Prayer
right. Here's
changes
my thing.
things.
Do
It's
you
just
get offended if people are like, I don't need you to pray for me because I don't believe in that?
no. I feel like no, because I'm going to pray no matter what. I'm not the person who's going to say, "Oh, let me," some people
Yeah.
come in and say, "I'm going to lay my hands on you." And
Mm-mm.
I'm not that type. If I see a need, I will pray for them. They don't need to know
No.
that I'm praying for them. I'm just
Okay, but
praying for
Rick,
them.
I'm curious because Rick on your show, sorry, Rick Costa has a show every day at 3 p.m. Monday through Friday, Sunday
Mhm.
through Friday at 3 p.m.
Right. Pacific time,
Pacific time. See, okay. Saturdays at 11 Eastern,
11:30 Eastern,
11:30 Eastern.
8:30 your
And you
time.
can go to rickcosta.com to check it out. Okay. So I just gave you a little plug there, and now I'm going to beat you up. So here. Blah, blah, blah.
No, we're not gonna
No,
beat
we're
you up.
not
I
going to
would
beat them up.
never. I love Rick.
No.
I'm just kidding. What are your thoughts on what we're talking about? What are your thoughts?
I was just thinking about this guy, and it's come up on my YouTube in a while. I guess the algorithm ain't hitting it, but this guy that's not a Christian. I don't know if he's an atheist, but he's definitely not a Christian, but he's a musician. But he'll listen to Christian songs and say, wow, that was amazing. Wow, the lyrics were good. Wow, that was moving. Sometimes he'll be like, yo, that made me cry. Like, it's doesn't matter. You can still be affected by music. Like I've always said, 2 + 2 is 4, no matter what anybody who says it.
Mhm.
It's still the truth.
But if
You know,
somebody says to you, I don't want you to pray for me, I don't believe in that stuff. Like,
Mhm.
does that bother you? How does that make you feel? Or what does that do to you as a Christian? If someone is an atheist and agnostic and you try to comfort them by saying, I'm going to pray for you.
It doesn't matter what they say. They can't make me do nothing. So I'm still going to do it anyway. Probably going
Right.
to do it even harder now because you said that.
Right.
But I'm not
Thank
going to say
you.
that to their face. I'm not going to say it to their face. I'm going to respect them.
No, yeah.
I think
Yes.
that's an interesting thing because I think what I have definitely moved away from Catholicism and Christianity in a huge way. There's no question about it. And I can't say that I'm an atheist by any means. I do believe in something bigger, but I'm not sure I'm agnostic. I don't know where I'm at. I have my issues with God. I keep being like, if there's a God, I need some proof now because this is not working. Everything
Right.
what I'm asking for is not working. And in my time, we now at a like I'm in my 50s. We still having the same conversation, my lord. You know what I mean? Like, so you need to move some mountains here. But I'm just kidding. But I'm not. In a way, I feel like I've really moved away from the thought process of a God. I do love gospel music. I do love music that moves me. And so it doesn't almost matter sometimes if you're talking about hurting and killing people. And sometimes I hear lyrics that throw me and I'm like, okay, I can't listen to that. Like I heard a song the other day by Tupac and I was like, wait, oh no, it was Biggie. It was Biggie. And I was like, oh, he nasty. I'm not listening to this. I've been listening to that song forever. I'm like, he being nasty. I was like,
Yeah.
I just got the word finally. You know what I mean? Because Biggie was a little
Oh
nasty.
yeah.
And not
Yeah.
Tupac wasn't that crass.
Yes, he was. You
Not
haven't gone.
Not
You have not gone into his catalog.
I have
I
gone into his catalog. Maybe I'm just more biased to Tupac.
Okay, so even if
Okay, no, no, no.
there was I can
Wait,
quote
how do
Okay,
you
one.
get this away from?
We're talking about music and art. I can
okay.
quote to you right off the top of my dome where Tupac told Biggie, "I effed your wife, and I did this, and
You
I
know
did
what?
that."
I know what song you're talking about. That don't bother me as much as I know. I know. That don't bother me as much as the way in which Biggie is talking about women and what he's doing to them in the moment against their will. You see the difference?
Mm,
Because I feel like Tupac fighting and saying not lies, but saying like instigating whatever, and that is bad. That's bad. But that I expect in rap. But what I'm talking about is the misogyny that is so bad that
Mhm.
you're like raping people on music. You know what I'm saying?
yeah,
That's where I'm like, oh, I cannot. And I was like,
right.
and I'll tell you off what the song is, and I'm like, oh, I can't. I had to delete Biggie off my. I'm like, I did not know. I did not. I had to delete Biggie. I don't know why Biggie was on my playlist, anyways. I'm just gonna say that right now. I don't know why, because I'm the
You
kind.
know why he was on your playlist.
I know why. But okay, going back to Rick for a moment, I just feel like for me, sometimes, especially when I watch your show because you're on every night, and sometimes I'll try to catch you out in the afternoon here during my lunch break, and you pray for the same things over and over again. And a part of me is you praying for the same thing and it's not getting nowhere. What does that do for you? Or what do you feel when I say something like that sounds or seems dismissive, which I'm still trying to be respectful. But
Mhm.
that's my question. Like I get sad because I used to believe and I don't anymore.
Yeah. So there's a story that Jesus tells about a woman who goes to this judge's house and keeps on knocking on the door over and over and over. And finally, he just relents. He's like, she keeps doing the same thing over and over again until like he just can't stand it anymore. And he gets out of bed because he does it like in the middle of the night, and he finally gives her what she wants. And I think Jesus is saying like it's okay to keep on praying over and over and over again.
So I have to wear him down. That's what it is. I have to keep asking every day.
So
I'm
you
just
do that with
wondering.
people. You gotta do that with people sometimes too.
I
Look,
don't. I don't
you
do
gotta
it.
take your ticket and get in line, just like everybody else.
I'm just saying. Okay.
Can
So
I, can I
fair
jump
enough.
in here? Can I
Of
jump in here?
course.
Lord have
Please.
mercy.
But
I
I also
cannot.
want to say that what I do during that whole thing, it actually brings comfort to a lot of people. And
For
that's
sure.
really the main reason why I do it. And like when I call out your name and I know your issue specifically and I say, Lord, please, they feel comfort from that. Now, it's taking up a big chunk of time,
Yes, it
but,
does.
but because, they makes them feel
I
special,
mean, now
heard.
I could do it because I've memorized it so much. Like I
Yeah,
could be on the list with you.
I know.
And I don't watch you daily, but I do watch you. And I'm like, and I get it because in Catholicism, the priest is Jesus basically. And so it's that same thing, right? Like it's that. Look
And
at
the
you
mass
all
is
rolled your
really,
eyes. I'm just saying that's the problem with Catholicism, but that's the idea is you're talking to the priest, asking for forgiveness. He is God. It's blah, blah, blah. And so what ends up happening is you do feel comforted when he calls your name out at the altar or at so I get it, but I love how you all rolled your eyes. Like, it's so
the
funny.
mass is literally the exact same thing every time, except,
Yeah,
the
yeah.
reading is different, the homily is different, but everything else is literally stand up, sit
Hmm.
The
down,
same thing.
same
Yeah, yeah.
response, the call response, exactly the same.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah, I
It's been
hadn't been to
thousands of years.
church in 15 years, and then I became a godmother for the fifth time or something, and I went into the church, and it was like I had never left. They had not changed a damn
Mhm.
thing, and it was a different state. Okay, it was a different state. I was like, "What is
And
happening?"
you jumped right in and picked it right up, didn't you?
Like, it's kind of like an old song you hadn't heard in a long time. You just know the words, and like
Yeah.
maybe that's why, in a way, it is art. I don't know. I don't know. It's weird, but
Um,
repeating stuff is good too. That's not a bad. You repeat on your show, Rick. You do a lot of the
yeah,
same thing, and it's to comfort people. People like to feel like they know and understand something. I can feel when Alma has something to say. Go ahead, girl.
It's all over her spirit.
Go ahead. I can feel the spirit coming through the screen.
No, I just when you said if if he was offended by you saying that you hear him praying for the same thing and nothing is happening. No, I'm going to say no, not offended. But the thing is that maybe even for myself, I pray for the same things, but they get manifested in my life in different ways.
Mhm.
So I think it's all in your perspective. Really truly, I just really feel that it's in your perspective, but it's your, like Rick said, he's praying and it comforts people. I feel like prayer definitely is a conversation between you and God. That's your personal relationship, your personal language with him. Sometimes God doesn't change the thing that you want him to change, but is he changing your heart? And see, sometimes it's about maybe that thing you're asking for is not really the thing that you need to be praying for change for.
And
Maybe
is it
it's something
possible if
else.
I push back and say, isn't that also just a way of explaining what's not happening? Right? I mean,
I
this is
mean,
the problem with a
well,
lot of atheists,
and then
right?
that's what I'm saying. It's all about. I feel like faith, prayer, religion. It's all also about making you think. You know what I'm saying? It can't just all be
Oh,
handed
that's
to
why you were
you.
saying it's like art.
Yes.
That's why you were saying it's like art. I got you now.
Because it's to make you think, it's to make you reflect, it's to make you look at it from different perspectives. When it's different for everyone. The prayer that
Mhm.
I pray is specific maybe for the things that are happening in my life, but it may speak into something different into someone else's life, which I may
Mm.
not know what it's about. But my prayer, even as generic as it may sound,
We're seeing.
or may be perceived as generic, is actually speaking into someone's life in a different way that I may not know of.
Hey, let me be clear. I'm okay with everyone praying for me. Pray for me as much as you want. I'm telling you right now, I will take all prayers. I am not against it at all. I am not one of those people. I don't care what religion you're in or what you believe. If you're praying for me, I'm all for it. Go for it. I don't
Okay,
care.
but I have a question. I want to throw a
Yes,
question out there.
yes, of course.
Something when you were little that you didn't think you were going to like, but you went and you did it and you loved it. That
Are
art
you
related.
asking me a question?
All of us, everyone.
Okay, say it again.
So something that you did as a child that was art related that you love and it's still something that you do now as an adult.
Mm. I thought I would hate going to see Bizet's Carmen is the opera. And now, I mean, I love opera and I now say it's not true, but I always say that I was named after the opera Carmen. Like that's kind of
God.
You stole mine. You stole mine.
oh
It's opera for me. I went to see an elementary school. It was a school field trip. LA Opera has this great program where elementary school teachers go to a class and then they give their kids a free trip to the opera and they get to go see the dress rehearsal.
oh,
So
mm.
my first opera was with Placido Domingo, and I
Oh,
completely
nice.
fell in love. And I've loved it ever since. And I introduced Marissa to it, and she loves it. She did a whole
And then she
thing
was doing a whole
through it.
thing. Yeah.
Yes. So yeah. So that was
I
mine.
didn't steal yours. We just share the same. That's kind of cool.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Oh, that's
But
kind of so cool. I
yeah,
love that.
we'll have to go
Wow.
on a date.
Yes, just me and you though. Let's leave the
Yes.
boys at home.
No,
Oh,
we'll leave them.
Leave me. I'm fine with
okay.
it.
He's not.
That's a nap opportunity for him. He
Ooh.
naps.
Oh, really? Okay. Let's do
Hey,
it. I would love to do it. Okay, Rick, I'm sorry. What about you?
Rick,
nap,
your turn.
naps are life. Naps are life. I'm telling you, naps
Naps
are
are
life.
life. We thought we were going to talk about, being in the orchestra or something. Go ahead. I thought you were going to say something about the opera, but go ahead.
Like it's like art related because I don't know.
Yeah, I mean anything that you
It
can
might be
think of.
hard. It's okay. She
Can't
threw
really
one
do
out
it.
there that took a little
Art
time to think
related.
about. Okay, anything related, whatever works for you.
I
Was there
remember
something
when
you did as a
my
kid?
dad used to love to go to the beach all the time. So not art related, and I never really did learn how to swim. I could doggy paddle, but at first I never thought I would even like that. But then I started. Oh no, this is fun. Go in the water, splash each other, and try to swim and try not to die.
Try not to die. Do you still not know how to swim now?
Doggy paddle. That's it. And I could float. And I'm like,
There
okay, if
you
I'm ever
go.
Really? Okay, then
I
you're
could at least float.
okay. Okay, here's another question, totally off tangent. Would you go on a cruise on a boat?
I have on my honeymoon.
Oh, really? See, I would think it'd be hard to go on a boat or a cruise if you didn't know how to swim. I don't know why that
I
would not.
did it. Yeah, I did
You
it.
don't know how to swim either?
I do now. I can survive now. Yeah, but back then, no. Not on my first cruise. It was horrible.
Really? Oh, that's so
Mhm.
funny.
Oh, but to answer Elma's
Yeah.
question, my childhood experience was that I got to be in my first play at 5 years old,
Oh,
and so
actor.
I've been in love with theater ever since.
Yeah.
So that's where my affection for music, musicals, plays, art, any type of concert, that's where that comes from, that 5 year old performance. And it was a fundraiser and performance for Kaiser Permanente, believe it or not. And it was at the Wilshire Ebell Theater here in LA.
I love
And
it.
I had my debut at 5 years old.
Love it. I love
Yeah.
Isn't
So
that the coolest thing? Don't you love those little things that happen when you're a kid and then I don't know, they change your life, but you remember them forever. Like there are certain things I cannot remember when I was 5, 6, 7, 8 years old, but there were those little moments like what you just talked about. Oh, no, I remember clear as day.
hmm It's a thread. It's a long
Yes.
thread that runs through our lifespan.
Did
And it
you
was
guys just go see Janet Jackson? Is that where you were in Las Vegas?
we did at
I knew
Resort
you did.
World.
I knew you did.
At Resort World.
Oh, I knew that's where you were. Okay, that's art right there.
Oh
Holler.
Yeah, she
my
still
God.
got it. She still
She
got
was
it.
dropping it low, bringing it up slow, popping it, dropping it.
Yeah.
Flames were flying.
They were. It was nice.
It was an incredible. She changed costumes. What
5 or 6 times.
6 times.
Really?
Yes. Oh yeah, it was
Yeah.
great.
She had risers. She was on a little pole that rolls up in the middle of the stage, laser lights all around. She gave a show. Like
Yeah, it was good.
she gave a show.
That
2
is
hours, 2 hours and 6 minutes.
really. Oh, that's
Yeah, just her. Nobody else.
Mm.
It's a great show.
It's interesting though, right? Like how art can move us and like I wasn't even there, but I knew when you were like, "Oh, we're gonna be in Las Vegas." I'm like, "He gonna go see Janet Jackson." I ain't gonna see her.
Sure did.
I knew where you guys were going, and it's just like I wasn't even there, and I'm not gonna see her, but it's like I know that what she did was art,
Mm-hmm.
not even a question. She
Pop
is,
in a few clips. She'll be like, "Oh my God."
yeah.
Yeah.
It
I
was
wonder if
great.
there's a little part of her that says Michael's not here, so let me try to
She
continue.
honors him on her show
She
still.
honors him. Yeah, she sings "Scream."
Does she does scream with him still? Does she
Yeah,
talk with him in the background? Oh, that's
yeah.
I mean, remember, Janet Jackson was an artist in her own right, regardless of Michael. I'm
Her
not trying
brother.
to
Yeah.
be rude, but like I loved Nasty and Control. Control was first, right? Control was her first album.
No, it's
Principle,
Young
what was
Love.
it? What was
Her first album was Young Love.
okay? What was Pleasure Principle? I knew that whole
That's
song.
the Control album.
Okay, I knew that. I could do that dance right now for you all. I could do it right now. I knew
Get on that chair. The chair.
and I could do the
Get on it.
chipping, and I could do the backflip back in the day. I'm
You
just
better do it.
And she didn't really. Let me just tell you, she did not do the backflip. You know that because you can see the edit. She didn't actually
Yeah.
do the backflip. I
Yeah.
did the backflip because I was all in that. But she was an artist in her own right, and so the only reason why I push back on that is because I'm sure she misses her brother, but those are two different geniuses right there
Yeah.
in the same family. Crazy.
I saw a clip though where Michael said that Janet stole his military stuff from Rhythm Nation.
Oh,
He said that in a clip.
was he being funny? Oh, come on.
No, he was upset. He was like, "No," because he was already doing this his story album.
He needed to stop.
No, he said it started with Captain EO when he was doing the "We Are the Change the World." And he was doing the militant moves, and she saw Captain EO, and she's like, "Michael, can I kind of borrow that?" And he's like, "Whatever," because he's like, "I was about to go into the whole military type dance." He said, "Janet stole that." Shade.
You know what? I'm just saying. I don't know if I believe him, and he's not here. May he rest in peace. But
Right.
no, he needs to leave her alone.
Yeah, yeah.
And
But
if she stole it, it's 'cause
sibling
she's
love.
gonna do it better anyways. Because that was Rhythm Nation is a great album.
Yeah.
Another
was-
layered thing that people did. 1814. People did not understand all of these things. It was so
Yeah.
layered. People angry about that album too. Remember when that came out?
Yeah,
about it. What were you
I
gonna
don't know why.
Wasn't she an actress too on Good Times as a little girl?
Oh,
Oh
yeah.
yeah, that was Penny.
Mhm.
Yeah.
This Penny, that was a sad storyline, though. I hated
Yeah,
it.
I was. Rick, I was sure you were going to say the comic books were your art thing.
What comic book?
Well, that's true.
Any
Until
comic, you
I
read any
know.
comic books?
Because it
Wait,
is
yeah,
an art
you
form.
read comic books?
I didn't read. So I read comic books. You should
I'm
see how many
asking.
I don't know.
I
Have
have
you
read.
seen? You looking
The
behind
background?
them?
But that's not
Like,
comic books. That's Marvel shit. Oh,
but it comes
sorry.
from comic
Comics.
books.
Oh, but I didn't know he read. Some people, I'm just saying, some people love Marvel, but are not comic book fans. I've never heard Rick talk about reading comic books. I didn't know. I
Yeah,
didn't know.
it was until I was like 14, I think. It was whenever that Fox X-Men cartoon came out. Then I was like,
Mm-hmm.
oh, this is dope. Let
So,
me
do you
rush
have
out
some that we
there.
could sell and invest in the podcast live stream? Do
You know what a long box is? A long box is a specific box made for comics. I don't even know how many long boxes I have full of comics.
Wow.
Wow.
See,
you
we
could
knew.
sell
That's
those
an
and
art
make a lot
form.
of
We knew.
money.
That's a art collection.
I told my son, I said, if I die, you better sell these things, make some money.
Why don't you
Yeah.
sell them now and make some money?
Yeah, you could.
The older they are, though, the more
About
money you
joy,
get.
but I'm just saying, like, leave that stupid job. I mean, not the stupid job. It's a great
It's
job.
not stupid. It's income. It's income. We love our jobs.
We do. And with that, at the hour mark, before we go down a horrible, you know what? I had a worse day today at work, and yesterday was a horrible day, and then it was raining all day, and I hate how people drive in LA. So yeah, I'm just saying, if you sold the comic books and they were worth millions of dollars, I mean, how much are comic books worth? They're worth a lot of money.
It
They
depends.
can be. Yeah.
Depends.
You like Cynthia. You don't want to spend your money. You got money, you got investments, but you don't want to spend it. Mhm.
Well, like there's also this digital comic thing called Vivi, VEVE, and it's all digital comics. And I took a chance one day, and there was like a really old Hulk one. I was like, let me take a chance. It was like $20. I was like, ooh, that's a lot because usually most of them are $6.99. I was like, but this is really old. Maybe it's worth something. I did a little bit of research, and there's 5 possibilities you can get, like just normal, blah blah blah, until super rare. I got the super rare, and
You're
that thing cost
kidding.
$1,000.
Wait, you bought it for 20 and then now it's 1,000?
It's worth 1,000.
Yep.
It's a digital thing?
It's digital.
And you don't want to sell that?
You never know. It could go more later.
Mm. I'm just saying, you know what? I'm not that kind of investor. I'm not that kind of investor. I don't invest like that. Like, I'm not going to be hurting in pain while I have investments that could make me feel happy. I'm not that person, but that's why I guess I work for other people, because I don't wait the long game. But all right, with that, I am going to end the show. Thank you so much for stopping by. You guys are awesome. We have so much fun in these private lounges. Please visit us at allaboutthejoy.com. And remember, at the end of the day, it really is all about the joy. Yay.
Goodbye,
Thank you,
everybody.
everyone. Bye.
Bye.
See ya.
Thanks for stopping by All About the Joy. Be better and stay beautiful, folks. Have a sweet day.